Est-ce que j'ai des mauvaises
Bonjour, professeur, enchanté. Bonjour, professeur, enchanté. Bonjour, professeur, enchanté.
Bonjour et bienvenue au cours d'Académie numérique. Désirez-vous avoir l'instruction en français ou en anglais?
Anglaise.
Anglais.
Each team has 20 minutes to present the case in front of the jury. Presentation will be timed with a chronometer. Time will be indicated with the following segment to remind the participant of their remaining time to complete the presentation. So we'll show you this card in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and the last 10 seconds will be on my fingers. If presentation isn't completed after 20 minutes, presentation will be automatically stopped with a verbal announcement in order to move the question period. A period of 5 minutes is allowed to the jury to ask questions concerning the presentation. After 5 minutes, a verbal announcement will stop the question period, even if the question or the answer isn't complete. It's mandatory to at least one question is asked by the jury to complete the question period. Note that if a participant reveals the name of the source of the university, it will lead to penalties. In order to start the presentation, please turn off any electrical device that could be a nuisance during the presentation. Now, I will let the jury present themselves.
Good morning. My name is Olivier Desilets. I'm from the University of Sherbrooke Foundation.
My name is Judith Lavallée. I'm working communication at the Fondation.
Abdel Mekibrada, professor of marketing, University of Sherbrooke.
Marilyn Cloutier, University of Sherbrooke Foundation as well. And that's it.
Marc Laurent, Director of Digital Media for Ratings Canada.
Okay. All right, so good morning, everyone. You know, as a graduating student, I made most of my friends at university. I was very involved with extracurriculars, and it's really a bittersweet moment now that I have to leave behind the 4 years that I had. But, you know, I'd love to get involved with university even after I graduate, and I'm really seeking out those opportunities. And so when we were presented with the opportunity to give a recommendation to La Fondation, this really excited us because we're all in the same boat. Good morning, my name is Chris, and alongside my colleagues Monica and Anne-Sophie, we hope that our recommendation pour La Fondation will help achieve exactly that. So, before moving on to our presentation, just to walk you through what we will be presenting today, we're going to give you a good analysis of what we believe is the current playing field pour La Fondation. Then we're going to walk you through a couple of non-negotiables that we had when looking at the recommendation we wanted to give forward. Next, we will present you with the opportunity statement, what's in it pour La Fondation, what we really want to accomplish. Next, we're going to walk you through our three-pronged recommendation. Finally, we're going to walk you through our financials and our key takeaways, what we really want you to take away from this presentation at the end of the day.
Thank you, Chris. So looking at the Fondation's current situation right now, so there really is a need to build a culture of giving back that is very dominant right now in more English institutions, but that you really want to harness here at Université de Sherbrooke. And this needs to be done from the start, so not only after students have graduated, but also during their university experience, they already need to get a sense of this culture. And this is something we're going to focus on for our strategy. Secondly, there's a need to increase the donations, especially amongst the 25 to 35-year-old segment. And how do we plan on doing so? Is by keeping them engaged and really fostering the culture of belonging with Université de Sherbrooke. There's also a need for awareness of the foundation initiatives through several of the testimonials that were provided to us. We were aware that even though a lot of people know about La Fondation de l'Université de Sherbrooke, they don't necessarily know exactly which concrete initiatives it has founded. So this is something that we really want to try to increase the visibility, not only online, but also with the offline touch points of the foundation's initiatives. There's also, through the information provided, we were made aware that you currently have a low email open rate, and we plan on changing this through sending more personalized, relevant content to your graduates. And looking at your website, it currently has a very user-friendly experience with relevant content. Your landing pages and your average duration sessions are pretty high right now, but we just need to try to get more graduates to actually go on the website. And finally, there's a low average donation, annual average donation per graduate, and we're going to try to increase that throughout our strategy as well. So looking at our target audience, we have two that we really decide to focus on here. First of all, there's Julie. She graduated 5 years ago from the Faculty of Management. She's currently working in Lévis and has somewhat lost touch with all the extracurricular activities and involvements that she really cared about when she was here at UDS. And she really greatly enjoyed her time overall here. And we also have Olivier. He's currently a last year student in engineering, and he is aware that there is a foundation, but as we mentioned previously, current students are not necessarily aware of all the time of all the exact initiatives that the foundation is taking and funding. So this moves us to our non-negotiables that we considered when building our three-pronged strategy. First of all, the feasibility. We were given a budget of $100K per year, and we're going to definitely take that into consideration throughout the course of our strategy. Secondly, we really wanted to focus on maintaining graduates' sense of belonging to the university and also increase the foundation's visibility, as well as increase the average annual donation. I'll now move it on to Anne-Sophie.
Thank you. So now that we were able to really identify those non-negotiables and focus really on our target audience, we were able to develop an opportunity statement for you today. So by nurturing graduate engagement and sense of belonging within the Université de Sherbrooke and within current students and past students, so students that have already graduated, our acquisition, retention, and creation strategies will increase the average donation per person to $50 within that identified age range per year and have an ROI of 75%, resulting in an increase in donations by $200,000 over the course of the next 5 years. So we did take a pretty long-term approach to our strategy, creating overall a sustainable link within our donors, So that was really our focus when developing the strategy, was creating a sustainable link, hence the long-term approach to our strategy. So now that we were able to identify our opportunity, let's dive more into our foundation strategy overview, so what we are going to be touching upon today. My colleague Chris mentioned our three-pronged strategy. We really wanted to focus on 3 of your keywords: acquire, retain, and create. In terms of acquiring new donors or acquiring new people that would be willing to give to the foundation, we really wanted to leverage past extracurricular involvements for email content. Students have very specific and unique experiences within the University of Sherbrooke, and we really kept that in mind within our acquire section of our strategy. In terms of retaining current donors, we were proposing a subscription-based donation model. So enabling easy donation processes for current donors to make it easy for them to donate continuous amounts of money throughout the years. Lastly, in terms of our create strategy, we really wanted to nurture the foundation's experience, explicitly demonstrating the foundation's initiatives offline and maintaining graduate sense of belonging within the UDIS.
Yep, thank you, Anne-Sophie. So moving on to the acquisition part, I'll dive into it more. So currently, right now, so as we mentioned previously, Christopher mentioned it at the beginning, students like to get involved in the university, and they're usually going to be more prone to donate or give money to causes that are related to those in which they were previously involved. So we really wanted to leverage that for this section. So our idea here is that during the online graduation sign-up process, so we currently have at our university a sign-up process you have to go through for graduation. We thought about implementing a question asking the graduates about the extracurricular activities or clubs they were involved during their university experience. You as a foundation would then gather this information, and you would then send targeted emails in the future to these graduates based on initiatives or clubs or associations that need the money in which they were previously invested in. So it would be targeted solicitation, as I said, to graduates who are involved in initiatives that need fundraising or related ones. And in order to really cap their attention from the start and really increase the open email rate, we plan on having the name of the initiative or club in the title of the email to really improve that open rate, as well as include the link to the website in which they can leave the donation within the email. So the KPIs we will look at, the key performance indicators we'll look at to determine the success of this strategy is the open rate of the email. Currently it's of 30%, and we know that your other segments have an open rate that is higher, or 48%. We want to achieve that same open rate for this target segment. Secondly, we also want the donation conversion rate to be of 10%. Now, what are the benefits for the graduates of having these personalized targeted emails? So first of all, the content will be more relevant and personalized to their needs and their past experience at UDS, therefore increasing the likelihood of them donating. Secondly, we also thought of the idea of having little points that mention updates or improvements or other involvements of the initiatives they care about included in these emails to really keep them up to date. And it would maintain their sense of belonging to the university. The benefits for the foundation here is that it would increase your open rate emails. It would increase the donation amounts, as we strongly believe that students and graduates are most likely to donate to causes that they care about and were previously involved in. And it would also help you acquire new donors. So looking at the quantitative impact of this strategy, so in the information provided, we saw that you guys currently have 50,000 graduates that you communicate with, and that 36% of them are between the target age range we want to go after here, which leads you to about 2,000 graduates per graduating year. So over a time range of 5 years, all our strategy here is going to be over 5 years as we're thinking the long-term sustainability of the foundation. This leads us to potential 10,000 graduates. If we take the objective of the email open rate of 48% and the conversion rate of 10%, this leaves us 480 graduates who will convert and leave a donation. With $50 donation, which we will develop more upon later on, over a time range of 5 years, this leaves you an additional $120,000 in donations. I'll now pass it on to Christopher.
Thank you. So, let's take a step back and look at our two target audiences, Julie and Olivier. Julie has been out of university for 5 years, and Olivier is about to leave. Now, we talked about acquiring individuals like Olivier, but how do we retain them, right? Between the ages of 25 to 30, individuals don't have that much disposable income, or they're saving up their capital for long-term investments. That's really the period that we're targeting with this strategy, is to retain them, to create and foster that belonging to the Université de Sherbrooke, because 10 years down the road or 15 years down the road, when you knock on their door and you ask them to donate, but haven't fostered that long-term network with them, then the chances of getting a donation out of them are actually quite low. So that's really what we're trying to pinpoint with this strategy. And what we recommend to do for that is to put in a subscription model. Now, why a subscription model? Well, we pinpointed a couple of prices that we think that per annum is quite achievable for an individual between the ages of 25 and 30, right? So it's totally up to the donor. They can choose a price between 20, 50, 100, or even more if they see fit. Right? It's always, we want to always give them that option of donating more, but always showing that we don't expect, the maximum amount in the first couple of years, but later down the road, you know what you want to do when they become successful professionals in their career. So, by doing a subscription model, one of the advantages is cash flow. So you're also sustaining your long-term cash flow over the next couple of years. And as well as that, you're enticing individuals to give a little more than they currently do on average. So with these prices, if you notice, from the information that was provided to us, we noticed that individuals between the target audience that we're going for have an average of $42 per donation that they make. We plan on increasing that to 50 with the options that we have here. Chances are they will go for the 50 option. We don't think that it's very likely that they will go for the $20 option. And next, older individuals on average give around $81, but if we make it easier for them to give a higher amount, so the $100 amount, then we think that we can increase that on average number that you currently have. So, what does this mean in terms of quantitatives? What is the quantitative impact here? Well, assuming you have 50,000 graduates, 36% of them are between the ages of 25 and 35 years old, and holding your current participation rate. So we're assuming a constant participation rate here of 9%. We have identified 1,620 donors. If we consider a 50% participation rate in the subscription model, that will give you 810 potential donors. And then if we increase the donation by $7 on average for both averages that we indicated, so the $42 and the $81, then that gives a conservative amount of $30,000 at the end of the 5 years. We would really like to stress that this is a very conservative amount that we have posted here, just to give you a bottom line estimate.
All right, so now that we've gone through those two main parts of the strategy, let's dive into the last one, which is about creating the foundation experience. As I mentioned earlier, every student's experience within a university is different. My experience within my university is completely different than my colleagues, and most of that has to do with the extracurricular involvements that I do, the courses that I choose to take, the professors that I have, and the friends that I make. So really our mission with this creating of the foundation experience was to install foundation plaques within the current university walls. Unfortunately, many students aren't aware that the foundation even exists, or aren't aware of what the foundation actually has an impact on. And a great way to mitigate that and to truly show the students the actual physical and tangible impact that the foundation has on the school is by having the logo just posted in more areas of the university. And what better way to do that than within a plaque that gives it that sense of an elevated experience, really, and demonstrating how the foundation is a foundation that students should be proud of and would want to participate in once they graduate. So for example, down the hall on the other floor, there's a lovely Bloomberg room, which is an amazing area for students that are studying finance to study more trading and seeing what's going on in the world. If the foundation were to take part in supporting that room, or if they already have by, for example, donating computers, there could be a lovely plaque on the wall with the foundation's logo indicating some key donors. Now what this does for Oliver, who's in the room, for example, trading on a computer, is he's really able to notice that there are some names on the wall, and one day he might want to put his name on that wall. And that's a great subconscious motivator for students that are studying within the university to graduate and then continue donating one day. So for current students, I touched upon a couple of these points already, but it's really that tangible impact that the foundation has, all while subconsciously influencing the student and through seeing donor names on the walls. Lastly, for the foundation, it really increases awareness to its future donors. Now, in terms of creating this foundation experience for people that have already graduated or that are part of the alma mater, we would love to organize 5 to 7 or 5 à 7 networking events within the 4 top cities across Canada with the highest concentration of people that have graduated from the University of Sherbrooke. So we've used the cities of Sherbrooke, Montreal, Gatineau, and Quebec cities just as benchmarks. And this really creates an initiative within the university of creating that network feeling and feeling that even though you've graduated from the University of Sherbrooke, you're still part of the University of Sherbrooke family. This is also an excellent fundraising opportunity by having these different satellites events placed in key parts of the year. So we've identified a timeline here following, given the information provided, some months where people feel the most generous. In terms of the key KPIs, benefits, and promotion, we separated this into 3 sections. So we were expecting on average 100-person attendance rate per event at an average donation per attendee to be discussed a little bit later on within the financials, and having that conversion rate, which is super key to keep in mind, at 50%. Julie, for example, would then be able to network with her former classmates and meet people from other faculties as well. She'll be able to be made aware of these wonderful events through newsletters, Facebook, and most importantly, LinkedIn. So in terms of creating these 5 to 7 events, let's crunch some numbers. We were talking about this 50 graduates per event that would actually donate. All in all, the donations would be approximately $50,000. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Ansel. So just rounding up the cost of the strategy as a whole, again, one of the key assumptions here is that this is going over a period of 5 years and not in the first year. I believe that the budget that we were given is $100,000 per year. So the 5 à 7 events, if we assume that we're going to be hosting 4 of them per year over the next 5 years, and an average cost of $5,000 per event. Again, a high limit there. It should cost you around $100,000 over the next 5 years, as well as if we take into consideration the plaque cost of $1,000 per plaque, and if we assume you're giving out 50 plaques over the next 5 years, that's a total cost of $50,000, rounding up your total cost over the next 5 years of $150,000. Again, these are conservative estimates. And for the overall strategy, if we tally up all of the donations that we expected to receive over the three-pronged strategy, which is around $200,000, that translates into a return on investment for you over the next 5 years of 75%.
All right, so now let's tap into the implementation of this all. The first strategy, which was acquiring, would start, or we recommend that it would start as at the end of the fall 2019 semester, and that's really when students start applying for graduation, which is the point of accumulating that data that we were discussing earlier. And we would start sending these targeted newsletters within winter 2020. Yes. So there would be enough accumulated data so that the newsletters that would be sent would really be targeted, increasing that click rate and that open rate that we were discussing earlier. In terms of retention, we really wanted to develop the back end of the website, and we strongly believe that 1 month gives you enough time to do that, given that the development of the website is all done in-house. That was really a key assumption of ours. And the launch of this subscription model would be in May 2019. The last prong of our strategy, so that was create. We really wanted to create these events and make them as successful as possible throughout that foundation experience that we were touching upon earlier. So all the organization and the promotional aspect would really start as of now, as of summer 2019, to make sure that people are the most aware of them. So when it comes to the first event that would be held in Sherbrooke, there would already be a buzz and an excitement for these events. As mentioned earlier, the Sherbrooke event would be hosted in October 2019, which was a key month in terms of donations, beginning of school year. There's a big hype around that. And then the Montreal event would be in December, the Gatineau event would be in February, and the Quebec City event would be in March. So there are three main things that we want you to remember with our acquire, retain, and our create strategy. We are digital marketers, and we're completely aware that everything is extremely important, both online and offline. And that's what the acquire, retain, and create strategy do for the foundation of the University of Sherbrooke. Thank you very much, and we would now like to open the floor to questions.
Thank you.
We can answer in French or English, your questions.
Armenian.
German.
I haven't spoken Spanish in a while.
Well, thank you for your presentation. I have a question about the content of the email. Okay. Do you see it more like a letter signed by students or somebody about at the foundation, or do you see it more like a dynamic pictures and really graphic that you click on and it goes directly to the website, or?
Can I take that?
Yes.
All right. So one thing that we didn't really dive into here, but a key assumption is that you're collecting all of the graduation information at the beginning with acquisition. So when Anso spoke about editing your website, it's really to collect data about what extracurricular events people have been a part of. Now, in terms of that information, we want to leverage that into customizing the content of the emails. And what we really noticed with the data you provided us is that most of the interactions you received on Facebook were more dynamic. They were, you really fostered this culture of active participation at the University of Sherbrooke, and we plan on leveraging that in email. So to answer your question completely, yes, we plan on delivering dynamic content linking back to our website to increase the rate here.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so for the acquisition component, you really focus mainly on email. Do you think you maximize your potential in terms of reach and awareness through that channel? And do you think there are other mediums that you could also leverage in order to gain more traction?
So that's an excellent question. We spent a long time discussing what was the appropriate medium, and why we chose to go with newsletters was because we were already extremely impressed with the current newsletter architecture that the Fondation has in place. The way that they're sent out, the content in each newsletter, and when they're sent out throughout the year, we thought was already very strategic. So we wanted to benchmark on what was already created and what was working and elevate it and make it better. Another thing that we touched upon, though, was more social media, so creating more content. We were discussing about videos, LinkedIn, Facebook, what other mediums to use. And just as an industry average, newsletters have been proven to be one of the most successful digital marketing strategies and ways to communicate efficient messages to our target consumers. So that's why we specifically chose to dive in deep into newsletters.
Question?
Give us a good one.
So, question?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Maybe last one. How you plan to acquire new donator by Instagram, by LinkedIn specifically?
Yes, that's a great question. We did discuss it. We feel that LinkedIn could definitely be an opportunity that could be more leveraged in the future as well. So, for example, we know that some student clubs or associations have their own LinkedIn page. So by promoting the different clubs and associations, new initiatives for which they need funding, this could make the graduates aware of what their past involvement in clubs needs money. Instagram, we felt like it is a good idea, but it's maybe less appropriate for the nature of the message that is communicated here, especially considering a lot of people use Instagram for more personal entertainment uses. So that's why we feel like email and potentially maybe even LinkedIn could be more appropriate than Instagram. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Merci.
Alright. Exit.
Oui.
Bonne journée, merci.
Bonne journée.